two, rock on. Check it out, y'all. 1, 2. Young lady, rock on. Check it out, y'all. 1, 2. Young lady, rock on. Check it out, y'all. 1, 2. Young lady, young lady, young lady, young lady, rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on. 1, 2. Young lady, rock on.
So we back again. What's the Science Showcast? And I call it a showcast because it's a little more than a podcast. I'm putting on a show where you can visually see what's going on. And this is basically hip hop education for the brothers who are uneducated on where this culture comes from. And I got another legend sitting next to me. I'm honored to have him here. We have the Kool DJ Red Alert in the building right now. Red, what's going on, man?
You tell me, G, what's going on? What's the deal?
I mean, you know, just trying to make this situation we got going on
All right.
elevate a little more. You know, and people have an understanding, but people fear what they don't know.
Well, you know, instead of having them, you know, going by the school, take them to school.
Exactly.
You know, that's what it is.
Bring the school to them.
Yes.
So all the excuses of I'm young and I didn't know this and that, now I'm giving you a platform where if you want to seek the knowledge, here it is.
And so much is accessible to them today. They just gotta take the, you know, the advantage of it because everything is online, and I know what we have is going to be online and everywhere else. So yo, just go forth and check it. That's all.
That's what's up. So, Red Alert, what was your first introduction to the hip hop culture?
My first introduction was Kool Herc. First time I ever got to knowledge was coming up in the Bronx. Well, first it was a guy named Nevins. I went to DeWitt Clinton High School. Me coming from Harlem, going to DeWitt Clinton High School up in the Bronx, and my man Nevins used to always say Herc, Herc, Herc. So I didn't know what he was talking about, so at that time I was staying in Colonial Projects right behind the pole grounds. You know, even though I'm from originally down on 111th between 7th and 8th, I was with my grandparents up there. So my friends and I, we was leaving from the project and going up right around 174th Street under the 4 train off of Jerome. And we was going to a place that looked a little like suspect, but as we got closer, we started hearing noise, step on in. That was the Twilight Zone. And I stepped in there, that's when I was saying that you didn't have to be dressed. You could be as you are, even though you had a couple people that was a little dapper. They used to call the fly girls and the fly guys. Remember that in the past?
Yeah.
And then I go all the way in the back, I see this big husky guy behind the set. And I'm watching him, like, it was 2 guys. The guy who I'm talking about, Herc, was behind the set. The guy who was next to him, on the microphone, was Coke LaRock.
Okay.
And I'm hearing this, you know, difference of what it is that you hear on the radio, or you may hear out in the street. They bring some of that stuff, but along with other different elements and different sounds. And I caught the bug there.
Okay.
I caught the bug there, and then, you know, after I finished high school, because I played ball for a minute, I went away for a year and a half. I went to Hampton. When I came out, here come another flow right behind Kool Herc. You have Flash, you have the L Brothers, you have rest in peace AJ, you have Mario, you have Smokey, you had quite a few people. So I was saying, you know what? This gave me some interest because I was watching everything that Herc was doing. I would watch every time. If I would go up in the bleachers, if he was doing the high school, I would go up in the bleachers and go around and look down and see what records he had. Anything I see he had, I went running home because my brother had a large record collection. See if I could pull them out. So now here come the next set of people. I see them. I said, you know what? It encouraged me to start working, save some money, buy my set of turntables, buy my little bit of equipment for what little bit of money I had, and I started learning to practice on my own because by listening to what everybody else was doing. You know, I think it helped me along also because in high school I took up music. Okay. So when I took up music, I learned how to read music. So I think that helped accommodate me so when I started DJing, how to segue, how to blend, how to mix at the time. And then who I taught was my cousin. He was staying down in Harlem, and from there, he moved up in the Bronx. he moved to Bronx River Projects. First person to put him down, rest in peace, Mario. But you know, he was doing a little herky-jerky on him, and then Bambaataa found out that he just moved in the project. He said, yo, you with me. And then he spoke up to Bambaataa about me, and then Bam put me on. I talked about my cousin, the original DJ Jazzy J.
Okay.
And that's how that became me being a part of the Zulu Nation.
Okay, that's what's up. So, being part of Zulu, your name was definitely like one of the, as far as DJs, like you was like DJ Red Alert. Like, you know what, it was even crazy. It, not just how nice you was, but your name was authentic. You had one of the motherfucking names like Red Alert. Where he thought of that name?
And you know that name.
Where did that name come from?
That name come from playing ball. Like I said, I used to play high school ball. I played organized ball, and because tall, skinny, and big old red afro, and according to my style of play, you know, I was pretty good at it. So my man Dennis. You know, by me hanging up in the Grand Concourse at the time in the Bronx, my man Dennis, he gave me that nickname, Red Alert. And I got along with everybody, so I put it all together, became Kool DJ Red Alert. Matter of fact, I remember the first time I wanted to be attached cool with Red Alert, I seen Kool Herc. Now, this is the code in the street. You can't buy the person's name.
Real talk.
You can't buy it. So what I did, I went up to Herc, I said, yo, Herc, I'm DJing now. So, you know, Herc, you know, at that time, he's that giant, you know, he like, and I said, yo, man, I want to know if I can attach Kool to my name. So he was looking around, nonchalant. Then he took time looking at me like, yeah, go ahead, man, go ahead. But you know what? In respect, I asked. Right, because you can't buy another person's name, style, whatever it is.
That's real talk.
And so that's how that really grabbed onto me. But I'm going to tell you something, man. I was on the bottom of the totem pole because before me, everybody was looking at Jazzy, everybody was looking at Islam, everybody was looking at Grand Mixer DST, everybody was looking at Rest in Peace WizKid. The list is long. I was bottom of the totem pole until I say, I hope my turn will come.
When did DJ Red Alert get to radio?
Well, the first in the beginning, before major radio, I was with Africa Islam on this station called WHBI, 105.9, where hip hop radio first was born. Rest in peace, my man Super Rock and Mr. Magic. And that was like around late 82 into early 83 that I was with Islam doing Zulu beats.
Zulu beats, yeah.
We were doing Zulu beats, and then, you know, we was amongst everybody else that was on HBI at the time. You had the world famous Supreme Team, you had Jerry Bloodrock, you had Awesome 2, you had Sweet G, you had a radio show at that time. A lot of people forgot about that. So we had our show called Zulu Beats, and on Fridays we was rocking at the Roxy. So the program director of Kiss FM, Barry Mayo, came down and had started chatting with Bambaataa, and the first person that had interest was Islam. He missed a couple of appointments, so they went after my cousin Jazzy. He did it for about maybe a couple of months, but he passed up because they wasn't paying. So that's when they came to me in October of '83. I went and did it. 3 months of no pay, but it was building my name, building my statue, paying my dues. And I just never looked back 33 years later.
33 years on the radio?
Yes.
Kool DJ Red Alert.
33 years. Going on 34 is a blessing.
What was the biggest venue you ever DJ'd at?
I'm gonna tell you the biggest venue, which was the scariest in my concern, because back in '85, I was DJing for Sparky D during the Roxanne era. And Sparky D was the person that was going after Shantae because Shantae went after UTFO. So she was defending for UTFO going after Shantae. And we was opening up for a new edition at the place called the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And we're talking about over 20,000 people in there. So not only that you hear the crowd, but with the roar and the sound, you feel it. And I'm like, on that stage DJing for her because, you know, you're in front of all this and you're feeling that. And I got past that, you know, but I think that was that still part of that boot camp. Passing the test, you know?
Right.
That's what it was.
So now, this is a very intricate part of hip hop right here.
Yes.
South Bronx versus Queensbridge. You gonna laugh. Man.
Man.
I remember when the South Bronx record came out, everybody, because you know, Harlem and the Bronx was kind of, and it was kind of Brooklyn and Queens. You
Yes,
understand what I'm saying?
yes, it was.
Like,
Yes.
when the South Bronx record came out, we was going crazy.
Nuts.
But I remember when The Bridge Is Over came out, niggas was like,
Yeah, they was like, yo, yeah,
what was that time like? Like, what was going through y'all minds? Like,
Well, let me try and break some down real quick and simple. You know, before South Bronx and The Bridge, when that Roxanne era was going on, it was rivalry between the two radio stations, WBLS and Kiss FM. So, you know, Marley was working with Mr. Magic and Chuck Chillout and I was on Kiss while they on BLS. So, you know, when I broke UTFO and they got upset, they went after Shantae and they put her out. And then here it is Sparky, I got to meet her at Russell Simmons' office and she said, I want you to be my DJ. And then, so that was in the part of the rivalry. So now, after that flooded out, now here comes Emcee Shan. One thing I could say, even though that Marley was over there, he made good records. One thing had nothing to do with the other. So I played all the records even though I was on a different station. So I was banging out the bridge. But here come one night, Celebrity Tuesdays in Latin Quarters. My man DJ Rahul along with the Awesome 2, they all together, and who comes stepping in? Rest in peace, Scott LaRock, KRS-One. They came with this acid tape. That's what we call it then. It was a hard plate, everybody, acid tape. And he gave it to DJ Rahul. He put it on, played it, South Bronx. People went nuts the very first time. He said, yo, ho, I gotta play this over again. He played the whole entire thing, people was going crazy. After he handed it back to Scott, Scott handed it to me, he said, this is for you to play. So now I'm already playing The Bridge on the radio. But when it came to the chorus of The Bridge, I threw in South Bronx, South Bronx. And I think that started the splurge of the rivalry right from there.
so it's safe to say Red Alert had an intricate part of that whole beef situation. Hip hop beef, you understand?
Because I look at it this way, it was always a rivalry in me and them. Even though we never got into nothing physically, even when I used to be on the road with Magic and Marley, we were doing the Roxanne era, you know, we was, you know, traveling together. Fly Ty was my roommate a couple of times. But when we got on the radio, we learned how to do it professionally. Mr. Magic, he had that mouth, you know, he called me all different type of names, Red Dirt, Woody Woodpecker. Used to say slap the lipstick off the radio. But then I had some people used to make some diss promos at Magic. So now here it is, I have another thing I can go after them with. I'm playing your song, I'm playing The Bridge. You can't say I'm not denying I'm playing it. But this time I'm going to step on it, playing South Bronx. Yeah, they came back with Kill That Noise.
Yeah, I remember that joint.
When they came back with that, I never forget. Scott LaRock called me and said, yo, I want you to go to Power Play out in Queens. Went in there, heard the track. He said, I want you to do that slogan that everybody know you for that you do on the radio. I did it at one take. And it was stuck on there, and that became a hit. The Bridge Is Over.
That Bridge Is Over. When that came out, I didn't even want to hear no more. I did not want to hear no more. It was like, yo, it was nasty.
But we kept it professional.
And that's why I respect a lot of the old school battles, you know, opposed to now, because now I don't really want any part of that, because I know it's going to be violence.
It's going to be violence, and you know, they step on each other and they not thinking. I mean, it's a blessing that I could say within years after that, South Bronx and The Bridge, that here it is, rest in peace, Mr. Magic, Emcee Shan, KRS-One and I got together to do a Sprite commercial. You know, people don't think of them type. It's business, you know?
It's business.
And then not only that, when you look and see how LL Cool J and Mo D can embrace each other. Mo D can go ahead and join together with Busy B, even though it wasn't directly at each other, but it was during the MC competition. Shantae showed love with Sparky D. She was the maid of honor at Sparky's wedding. You know, I mean, we have built a relationship. And that's what I think is missing. Now, it's sad that the mentality that you're thinking more of the dollar instead of the talent. Because you talented and you can do it, make it happen, but I don't think you should let the ego and the dollar get in front of the talent, because that's where it causes destruction of what's going on today.
That's what's up, man.
My opinion.
No, not your
And
opinion.
you're good at what you do. You're good.
Facts.
You can go forth. You can go hard. You can go big. You can go major. But you be more respected if you keep the craft going instead of your personal and your residuals and everything all above.
And that's my point. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how much money you get. I don't care how many women you got, how many cars you got. How good are you getting on that microphone or them turntables? That's the bottom line. Anything other than that, that's your little personal gifts. I'm talking about when it comes to the culture, you got to show and prove, or that's not a factor in. You know what I'm saying? If you shot 10 people, that don't mean I gotta like how you rap.
One thing don't have
Real
nothing to
talk.
do with
Don't
the
let
other.
that shit go. Exactly. That's,
No.
I don't want to hear about that right there.
And you know what I think is sad today? We live in a viral world. When I say we live in a viral world, everything is online. And the social media world has been a gift and definitely a curse, because you can make something bigger out of anything off of the imagery of what's being portrayed. You know, they get this image of you for what they see over and over, they hear over and over, and they really think that's the way it is. But then it's his smoke and mirrors.
That's real talk right there.
So, I mean, come on, be honest with yourself, be true with yourself. I know we all on social media, because we keeping our name out there, but we gotta make sure that the craft come right along with the name, along with the image you see or whatever we portray, Just don't go ahead and put up certain situations and make you think that gonna work for you. No, it's gotta be more to it than just that.
Real talk. So last question I want to ask you is, how important is it for the new brothers in this game to know the hip hop history?
If you going to school and you taking up social studies, history, anything dealing of the past that you have to take time to study on, if you can do that, you can go ahead and do your study and your homework on any culture you go to be. It could be in sports, it could be in industrial, it could definitely be in hip hop. I look at it this way. When I look at the NBA All-Star, that's why I'm happy that you're doing it. I hope this gonna happen down the road. That when I look at a person like a LeBron James sitting down with a Mr. Bill Russell and having a conversation, why is it that young Ma cannot sit down with a Queen Latifah and have a conversation? So if you want to go ahead and get involved with this culture, do your homework, do your studies, and see where it came from. No, there's no such thing as writing us off. We struggle for y'all to be where you're at. You don't owe us nothing, but we really appreciate you keep this going on in the right perspective.
Yo, Rad, I couldn't have said it better. Definitely want to thank you for coming through, man.
Respect, man.
Once again, What's the Science Showcast, man? Just trying to make knowledge born, If you want this education, it's out here for you now. There's no more excuses, yo.
Warning, warning, warning. The Drama King is in the building. The Drama King is in the building.